local, late breaking. This is WBAL-TV 11 News Tonight.
If you don't like the word, do it now. Use the word deliberate speed.
With a political style uniquely his own, you either loved William Donald Schaefer or you didn't at all. But no one ever doubted his passion for Baltimore, for Maryland, or for the people he served. Good evening, everyone. I'm Donna Hamilton. Rod and Marianne are off tonight. Our big story this evening, the passing of political icon William Donald Schaefer, the former governor and controller of Maryland and longtime mayor of Baltimore. We have live team coverage tonight. We begin with 11 News lead investigative reporter Jane Miller. She is at Charlestown Retirement Community, the former governor's home. And Jane, Schaefer was such a force of nature, it's hard to believe he's really gone.
And it really won't sink in for a few days for those who knew him best, that's for sure. William Donald Schaefer, you know, lived most of his life in public. Mayor, governor, state comptroller. But this evening about 6:30, he died here at the Charlestown Retirement Community Center, the community home here in Catonsville. He died in private with his longtime friend and longtime aide, Laney LeBeau-Sachs, at his side, holding his hand. LeBeau-Sachs told us by phone that Schaefer went peacefully. He had been hospitalized earlier this month with pneumonia, but returned to his home at the Charlestown Retirement Community. The pictures that you're looking at, by the way, were taken in 2009, in November of 2009, during Schaefer's last public appearance. LeBeau-Sachs told us that Schaefer's body just gave out. She knew earlier today that he may not make it through this night. Also today, about 4:30 this afternoon, a group of Schaefer's former aides and friends got on the phone on a conference call to say their goodbyes to the former governor. One who was on that call was Schaefer's former press aide, Mike Golden.
But he was a delightful man, a loving and caring man. And, you know, those of us who worked for him felt like he was family, and I think it was reciprocated. I always said that he reminded me, he was like my favorite uncle, and he always would ask me how my family was doing, and he genuinely cared. He cared about people.
Laney LeBeau-Sachs told us by phone tonight that a few days ago, Schaefer was able to tell her, "I love you." It may be one of the last things he was able to say. Schaefer was 89 years old at the time of his death. He was never married. His longtime companion, Hilda Mae Snoops, died before him in 1999. Tonight, Schaefer's body has been taken to the Ruck Funeral Home in Towson. Now, we do have details about the funeral arrangements that are to come and all of the public memorials that are also going to be part of the celebration of William Donald Schaefer's life. We'll have more on those details later in this newscast. LeBeau-Sachs said tonight, you know, there will never be another one like him. Who can argue with that? Continuing our coverage, Dave Collins on the life and death of William Donald Schaefer. Dave?
Well, Jane, William Donald Schaefer is credited with Baltimore's Renaissance. Oh, yes, some refer to him as Mayor Annoyed. But in his 50 years of tireless public service, he said being mayor was the job he liked best.
William Donald Schaefer, the irascible, do-it-now public servant.
If you don't like the word, do it now. Use the word deliberate speed.
And always the conductor of something big.
This will be a superb building when I get finished with it.
William Donald Schaefer was perhaps the most colorful character to ever play in Maryland's political arena. This is classic Mayor Donald Schaefer at the 1981 opening of what he considered his National Aquarium. He had a knack for making people feel good.
Hi, I'm Mayor Schaefer, and this is my jump shot.
Outrageous PR was always his shtick. Surprising for a man who some say was painfully shy as a child. William Donald Schaefer was born November 2nd, 1921 in West Baltimore. Those who knew him say his work ethic came from his dad, whom he called Uncle Willie. His dogged determination from his mom, Talulu. He was an only child, educated in Baltimore's public schools. Schaefer served in the Army during World War II. During his tour of duty, he worked at an Army hospital in London. He left the military as a lieutenant colonel. In the early 1950s, he became a lawyer. He made a successful run for Baltimore City Council in 1955 and was elected mayor in 1971. During his 16 years in office, Schaefer's vision, tenacity, and partnership with developer Jim Rouse paved the way for Harbor Place.
I've never seen such spirit. Saw spirit in merchants I've never seen before, construction people, everyone.
He was always building. He wanted Baltimore to have a World Trade Center. The city had to have a science center and the state-of-the-art mass transit system. The genesis of Camden Yards was under his watch.
You told me if you were going to move the team, you'd tell me first.
But so were the Colts sneaking out of town.
One man could just pick up a team and leave, sneak out under cover of night, which really irritates me no end.
According to one biographer, it was Schaefer who later helped convince Art Modell to move his football team to Baltimore. Schaefer wasn't invited to the governor's groundbreaking for the new stadium, but in Schaefer style, he showed up anyway.
I'll go on the presumption that it was just sent to the wrong address.
He wasn't always that calm. He had a city hall-sized temper, but it translated into a passion to get things done, especially the little things.
But the little things such as potholes and curbs and trimming of trees, people neglected that. We did them.
Schaefer never married, but longtime friend Hilda Mae Snoops was by his side throughout his career.
I, William Donald Schaefer, do swear.
Sworn in as governor in 1987, he served 2 terms. But retirement didn't suit the man who seemed to never want to stop working. In 1999, he was elected state controller, a title he'd keep for nearly a decade. But Old Shaky, as he was affectionately called by peers for being so anxious around election time, lost that post in a bruising 3-way race in 2006.
You know, you can call bologna sausage, but it's still bologna. I'm me. And if they think I'm ever going to change and keep my mouth shut and try to be politically correct, I'm not going to do that.
But he always considered his 16 years as Baltimore mayor the best of times. William Donald Schaefer, a dedicated public servant and Charm City original.
After William Donald Schaefer lost his re-election bid in 2006, he was asked, "How would you like to be remembered?" Schaefer replied, 2 words, he cared. How fitting. Reporting live from City Hall, David Collins, WBAL-TV 11 News.
All right, thank you, David. He was certainly an original. And as Jane was mentioning, we have learned late tonight of the funeral arrangements for William Donald Schaefer. Schaefer's body will lie in state at the Maryland State House in Annapolis from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. next Monday, the 25th. A procession will take place shortly after 2 p.m. through some of Schaefer's favorite spots in Baltimore, including the Inner Harbor and Camden Yards. He played such a big role in both of those. That's going to be from 5 p.m. to 9 p.m. on Monday, the 25th. Schaefer's body will lie in state at the Baltimore City Hall, and again on Tuesday, the 26th, from 9 a.m. to 9 p.m. His funeral will be held at an undisclosed time, Wednesday, April 27th, at Old St. Paul's Church in Baltimore. Well, this is Schaefer's most beloved jobs, being the mayor of the city of Baltimore.
He was big so the city could be big, that he used all of his personality to promote the city, because he had a deep faith that Baltimore's best days were yet to come.
And we are also in Annapolis tonight to speak with current Maryland Governor Martin O'Malley about Schaefer's passing. 11 News reporter George Lettis joins us now live from Annapolis with more on that. And George, Governor Schaefer and Governor O'Malley had an interesting and sometimes tense relationship, but I think he was still a Schaefer admirer.
Well, tonight O'Malley really didn't go into that. He was hosting a dinner at the governor's mansion. When he got the news, he immediately ordered all state flags to fly at half-staff. O'Malley called Schaefer's passing, quote, the end of an era for not only his 50-plus years in public service in Maryland, but for the mere fact that O'Malley says Maryland may never see another politician like William Donald Schaefer for his brash style and his, quote, impatience with bureaucracy, but also for his energy to serve the people of Baltimore City and the people of Maryland. Here was O'Malley earlier tonight.
He was not the sort of person who rode in the back of the car with his nose in a newspaper. He was a person who was wide awake, eyes wide open, and head always on a swivel, looking for opportunities to make the city a better place, to make the state a better place.
Of course, O'Malley and Schaefer, both Democrats with pretty similar political paths, both mayors of Baltimore City and governors of Maryland. Now, the last time O'Malley said he saw Governor Schaefer was about a year ago. They had dinner together at the government house, and at the end of the dinner, Katie, the First Lady, said to Schaefer, hey, the next time we have dinner or have you over here, we should have a slumber party. And then Schaefer said to Katie, I didn't hear your husband second that notion. So O'Malley tonight remembering Schaefer as the tough politician, but also one with a sense of humor. We're live in Annapolis. George Lettuce, WBAL-TV 11 News.
All right, thanks so much, George. And I'm joined in the studio right now by Deborah Weiner. And Deborah, when William Donald Schaefer left public office, he went to Charlestown retirement, where he was supposedly going to live a quiet life, but quiet for him, I guess.
Quiet for him, indeed. Exactly. You know, it was such a different life for him, really. When, in fact, he left public life, I think we all knew that was so painful for him.
And you can only imagine.
Only imagine. It defined him, indeed. You know, we have so many grateful moments as journalists. Getting to know this man in that setting, I count as one of my top grateful moments, indeed.
When we last spent time with Governor Schaefer, he was in very good spirits.
I don't get up for anybody.
Hello.
It's so nice to see you. He was warm and typically sarcastic as we toured his apartment at the Charlestown Retirement Center.
Nice place.
You like it?
No, I hate it.
He wanted to talk, and we wanted to listen.
I'm old now, and I'll be gone in a short period of time. But being able to do something for somebody else, even to help a lady across the street, now that sounds like it's not public service, but it is. Go into a yard, and the yard's filled with trash, and you help her clean it up. I know that sounds hokey, but that makes you feel so good. You walk out with a swagger.
Any regrets?
No, I can't say I have any regrets. People have treated me nice. Now, don't think it's been roses and peaches all the time. There are people that don't like me, and they let me know that they don't like me, and I'm sorry for that, but I don't like them either, so we're all even.
But the people who liked this man, who adored him and formed his inner circle, offer extraordinary insight into this brilliant and complex long-time public servant.
So let me just ask you, moody?
Unbelievably.
Cantankerous?
Unbelievably.
Difficult?
Unbelievable.
Complicated?
Unbelievably.
You loved him?
Loved him to death.
Perhaps no one was closer to Schaefer than Lainey Lebo, a confidant and sometimes controversial gatekeeper who could predict his mood just by the position of his shoulders.
More often, was he up or was he down?
I would say more down. And that down was a way to get people to gather around and do more and figure out what would make him happy. Everybody wanted to make him happy. It's the most incredible thing.
It's a very intense experience.
Mark Wasserman was a senior policy advisor, campaign manager, and chief of staff to the governor.
Like a lot of elected officials, he was an introvert, even though you wouldn't know it. So he really needed people he trusted. Many major political figures have this. And so it's just one of those great fortunate accidents of life. I became part of what some thought were sycophants. I'd like to think we were close but professional.
Former Associated Press reporter Tom Stuckey.
More so than anybody I've seen in my 40-plus years of covering politics. I've never seen a circle of friends and staff that were so personally loyal to an official as I did with Schaefer's people.
He had no way to relax, no family support particularly to turn to. And so we were all very much part of many dimensions across his life.
And a lot of times I'll refer to him as like my favorite uncle.
No one can do Schaefer like former spokesman Mike Golden.
I would go into his office, and he would always feign disgust, or I guess that's the right word, but he would go, "Oh God, what do you want? Oh jeez, oh," and I would, I'd have some business conduct and say, "Governor, could you sign this? Why don't you go your hat?"
He said that to you every day?
Pretty much.
Bishop Robinson was Schaefer's police commissioner in Baltimore, his public safety secretary in Annapolis.
I liked the guy when I first met him. He was very forthright, and he said what he wanted to say, and he never had any problems with it. And I sort of liked that. And he had guts.
One of Robinson's favorite memories has to do with the prison break and the governor's ability to perform after arriving on the scene.
I was there. So then he said, look, come here. Look, Bishop, I don't know a damn thing about prisons, you know. I don't even know what's going on here. So I'm going to talk to you, and you just talk to me, and don't let the people get too close to us, and I'll be pointing at things, and you say something. I said, okay, good. So he said, I said, there's the hole where they got through the fence. Oh, yeah.
So he knew to look interested and engaged.
You got it. Everybody thought he was really into it. That's amazing how this guy was. He's one of a kind. There will never be another one like him. Never.
What piece of advice would you give to the next generation of public servants?
Love public service as I do. It is the greatest thing in the world.
It seems hard to imagine anyone loving it the way Schaefer did. An unconditional love to the end.
I miss them already, right?
I know. It's what was interesting to me in that, so many things, but when he said his idea of public service, you don't have to be mayor or governor. You can pick up trash. You can help an old lady across the street, and that's an easy way to do public service. Anyone can do that.
Absolutely. He wanted everybody around him to take care of the big picture, and he saw those little things as really the big, most important things to do.
Yeah, he was a detail man for sure.
You know,